My name is Serena L. Carter. I'm 30 years old, and the day my sister asked for my debit card, just for gas, was the day I finally realized I wasn't a safety net. I was a resource, something to be tapped until it ran dry. It didn't hit me right away. It never does. It sneaks up quietly, in the way someone holds out their hand like they already know you'll fill it. It had been a long week. I work as a project lead for a software company, which is a glamorous way of saying I spend most of my time putting out digital fires and calming clients who don't understand why everything can't be fixed in one email. I'd spent 6 days bouncing between meetings and late nights, finalizing 2 separate rollouts that couldn't be delayed without blowing up half our contracts. My back hurt, my eyes burned. The only thing I'd eaten that day was half a protein bar and a handful of stale almonds at my desk. Kayla had been staying with me for almost 2 weeks by then. 22, technically brilliant, supposedly finishing her degree, and looking for an apartment closer to campus. That was the official story. The real story was that she'd messed up her last lease, charmed her way into staying with a friend for a while, burned that bridge, and then landed at my doorway with a suitcase and a practiced pout. We'd done this dance before. I told myself it was temporary. It was always temporary. That night, I was sitting on the edge of my bed, shoes still on, brain still buzzing, when she appeared in the doorway like she lived there. "I'll take your card just for gas," she said, palm open, like she was asking for a glass of water. I didn't even have the energy to respond right away. I just stared at her hand, then at her face. She was smiling. That same smug little smirk she got when she thought she'd gotten away with something. I knew that look. I'd seen it since she was a teenager, always right before something expensive went missing, or a lie unraveled weeks too late. "Just gas?" I asked. She rolled her eyes. "Yes, just gas. My tank is literally on E, Serena. I'll fill it and bring your card right back." The part of me that wanted to say no was small and tired. The part of me that had spent years covering overdrafts, paying phone bills, and quietly Venmoing her rent when she cried on the phone was louder. My mother's voice echoed in my head. "It's family, Serena. Don't make a scene." I handed her the card. "Only gas," I said. "Only gas," she repeated, like it was a joke, kissed the air near my cheek, and disappeared down the hall. I could say that somewhere deep in the back of my mind, I knew she'd push it, but I didn't expect what I saw the next morning. Checking my account had become a habit, the way some people check the weather. I opened the banking app on my phone on autopilot, already thinking about my first meeting of the day. The number on the screen didn't make sense. I blinked once, twice. My brain tried to smooth it over as a glitch. Almost $4,900 gone. At first, I laughed. It was a short, sharp sound that didn't feel like mine. There had to be a mistake. A duplicated charge. A pending hold. Something rational. Then I scrolled. $487 at a boutique shoe store downtown. $1,200 at a luxury spa in Malibu. $700 on a rooftop dinner reservation for 10. A deposit for a party bus. Clothes, makeup, drinks, Uber Black rides all over the city. A string of neon-colored bad decisions across my transaction history. She'd taken my card and gone on a farewell tour of irresponsibility, celebrating, apparently, because she was finally moving out. Freedom, in her mind, looked like blowing through almost $5,000 she didn't earn on a card that wasn't hers in one night. When I got home from work that evening, she was curled up on my couch, under my blanket, using my streaming accounts and my Wi-Fi. Some trashy reality show flickered on the screen. "Do you have any almond milk?" she asked without looking at me. "I want a smoothie." I just stared at her. The numbers from that morning flashed behind my eyes. $4,900. Boutique shoes. Spa. Party bus. I didn't yell. I didn't demand she hand me the card and explain herself. I knew how that script went. We'd acted it out too many times. I'd confront her, she'd cry, then she'd text Mom, who would call me and say I was being too harsh, that Kayla was still young, that it was just money, that I made more and could handle it. So I said nothing. She left around 7, dressed in something new I hadn't seen before, laughing into her phone as she closed my door behind her, probably off to meet the same friends who had ridden on the party bus I unknowingly paid for. The second the door clicked shut, I went straight to my laptop, logged into the joint account, moved the remaining $63 into my personal account, closed it, canceled the card, locked her out, I didn't smile. There was no satisfaction, no evil villain moment of revenge. But that night, for the first time in a long time, I slept like a baby. The next morning, the house was quiet. No blender screaming, no Kayla humming obnoxiously in the kitchen, no, Serena, can I borrow your jacket, echoing through the hall. It was 9:02 a.m. I had a couple of online meetings scheduled, but my mind wasn't on them. I knew exactly where she was. I could picture her perfectly, dressed up in her new clothes, makeup done, standing in an office that smelled like fresh paint and desperation, confidently handing over my card to some leasing agent who had no idea what kind of storm was about to blow through. At 10:17 a.m., the first text hit my phone. Hey, your card declined. Did you move money or something? I watched the notification fade from my lock screen. I didn't answer. At 10:21 a.m., it's still declining. I'm literally standing here. This is embarrassing. Fix it. I flipped my phone face down and went back to the client call I was on. 10 minutes later, she called. I let it ring. She called again from a different number, the leasing office probably. Straight to voicemail. At 10:43, she left a voice message. I didn't need to listen to it to know the tone. I'd heard that pitch of panic before, right when her artificial confidence cracked, and the sweet act melted into something sharp and mean. By 11 o'clock, my mom's name lit up my screen. What's going on? Kayla's upset. Just help her this once. I didn't open it. Then the family group chat started buzzing. My dad, my mom, both my brothers, and Kayla. Dad, Serena, seriously? You cut her off? Mom, you closed the account without saying anything? Kayla, you're insane. That last one actually made me smile. She'd said the quiet part out loud. I closed the account. Good. At 11:30, I got a voicemail from the apartment complex. A clipped, professional voice explained that there had been an incident involving my sister, that she'd caused a disruption in their lobby after her payment was declined multiple times, and that they were reconsidering her application. I didn't call back. I forwarded the voicemail to my mother. No comment. I watched her typing bubble appear in the chat. Then it disappeared. No reply. By 12:04, my front door slammed open. I didn't have to guess who it was. She was standing in my bedroom doorway before I even had time to get up from my desk. Cheeks blotchy, hair frizzed from the wind, eyes already wet with the kind of tears that only show up when someone's been told no. Where is the money? She demanded. No hello, no explanation. I stayed seated. What money? Don't do that, she snapped, stepping into the room like she owned it. The rent money, the money that was in the account. Why did my card decline? They ran it 3 times in front of everyone. Do you have any idea how humiliating that was? I looked at her for a long moment, really looked at her. New shoes, new dress, new bag. All of it worn like armor. You blew $4,900, I said quietly. On garbage. That account is gone. She blinked. The words didn't land at first. It was like her brain rejected them on impact. You can't do that, she said finally, voice rising. You can't just cut me off. I didn't cut you off, I replied. You drained the account. I closed what was left. She stared at me as if I'd slapped her. You always do this, she hissed. You act like you're better than us just because you have money. Us. That word sat between us like a third person. As if I wasn't the one who'd spent the last decade covering bills they forgot about, transferring money when the lights were about to be shut off, quietly paying off random debts so Mom could stop panicking. As if the job I fought for, the overtime I worked, the life I scraped together, made me the villain. Get out of my room, Kayla, I said. We're done talking. She stormed out, slamming the front door so hard the walls shook. 5 minutes later, my phone vibrated. Mom. Her voice was soft, practiced soft, the way you talk to someone balancing on a ledge. Serena, honey, she began. I just talked to your sister. She's very upset. I'm sure she is, I said. She made a mistake, Mom continued. We all do. She's still young. You closing the account. Threatening legal stuff. That's a bit extreme, isn't it? I told her she could use the card for gas, I said. She used it for a luxury shopping spree. That's not a mistake. That's theft. There was a pause. It's family, Mom said at last. Don't make a scene over money. I could almost see her shrug through the phone. The same shrug she used when I was 14 and Kayla broke my phone and I had to buy a new one myself. When my father borrowed my college savings for a short-term emergency and never paid it back. It's family. Don't make a scene. Lay down. Take it. I'm not making a scene, I said. I'm drawing a line. If the money isn't repaid, I'm getting a lawyer involved. Another silence, this one sharper. You wouldn't do that, she whispered. Not to your own sister. I already talked to a lawyer, I said, and I meant what I told her. She didn't know what to do with that. For a moment, I heard her breathing, short and shallow. Then she hung up. By evening, the family group chat looked like a war zone. Kayla, I can't believe you did this to me. Kayla, I'm literally about to be homeless because of you. Kayla, you're blowing this way out of proportion. Mom, money shouldn't come between sisters. Mom, we raised you better than this, Serena. Dad, everyone calm down. We can talk this out. Between their lines, I could read the unspoken script. Serena, fix it so we don't have to. I didn't reply. The only names that stayed silent were Uncle Jerry and Grandpa. That didn't surprise me. They were the only ones who'd ever really seen how things worked behind the curtain. Uncle Jerry called around 7. He didn't start with small talk. I heard, he said. You're doing the right thing. Don't let them guilt you back into it. That's the plan, I said. He grunted, which in Jerry speak was practically an emotional hug. Call me if they try anything else, he added, then hung up. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed again. A text from Grandpa. About time you stood up. 5 simple words. They hit harder than any lecture. The next morning, Mom sent a longer message. No emojis this time. Just, tonight. Everyone at the house. We need to settle this. I almost didn't go. But there was a part of me that wanted them to say it all to my face instead of behind screens. If they were going to make me the villain, they could at least look me in the eye while they did it. Their house smelled the same as always, coffee and laundry detergent and something fried, but the air felt heavier. They were already gathered around the dining table when I walked in. Mom at the head, Dad to her right, Kayla directly across from the empty chair that was clearly meant for me. My younger brother Alex sat off to the side, scrolling on his phone like he'd been forced to attend a show he didn't buy tickets for. My older brother, Jeremy, was nowhere in sight. Typical. I sat down. No one offered me coffee. That was fine. I preferred to be fully awake for this. Mom started. Serena, she said, folding her hands, we all know there have been mistakes, but threatening your sister with lawyers? That's not who you are. You don't get to decide who I am, I said calmly. Dad cleared his throat. We're stronger as a family, he said. This public stuff, the scene at the apartment, it could hurt Kayla's chances, her reputation. We should be handling this quietly. Kayla chose that moment to stand, arms crossed over her chest like a teenager caught sneaking out. I don't deserve this, she said. It was just money. I thought you'd be okay with it. I was going to pay you back when things settled. I pulled out my phone and opened the banking app. The screen lit the room with a faint blue glow. Let's go through it, I said. I read each transaction out loud. A $700 dinner, a $200 spa day, nearly $500 in clothing, a party bus deposit, multiple rides, drinks, random charges in the middle of the night. Kayla's eyes stayed unfocused, drifting anywhere but the numbers. You didn't ask, I said when I finished. You didn't mention it. You lied by omission and hoped I'd be too busy to notice. You're blowing this out of proportion, she snapped. It's not like I robbed a bank. You used my card, I said, for almost $5,000 I didn't consent to. If you were a stranger, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. I'd already have filed the report. Mom leaned forward. Serena, please. She's your sister. And I'm your daughter, I replied, the one who's been paying for everything while you tell me to be understanding. I'm done. I let that settle, then said what I'd come to say. If the money isn't repaid, I told them, I will file a report. I will move forward with legal action, and I will not sit through another family meeting where I'm told I'm the problem because I finally said no. The room was quiet, the kind of quiet that feels like the air has been sucked out. Then a voice spoke from the back of the room. Grandpa. He'd been sitting in the corner, cane propped against his leg, cup of black coffee in his hand. I hadn't even noticed him come in. Serena's the only one here acting like an adult, he said, his eyes steady on my parents. Maybe that's why you're all so uncomfortable. Mom's mouth opened, then closed. Dad stared at the table. Kayla's face flushed red. Dad, that's not fair, Mom protested weakly. What's not fair, he said, is expecting her to keep cleaning up your messes and then calling her cruel when she refuses. I stood up. My heart was pounding, but my voice stayed even. I'm done being the fallback plan, I said. Done being the ATM. Done being the quiet solution so no one has to change. I pushed my chair back. For the last 10 years, I added, you've all counted on one thing, that I wouldn't make a scene. Consider this my scene. I walked out. For the first time in my life, I didn't look back. The silence that followed the family meeting wasn't peaceful. It was watchful, thick, loaded. The kind of silence predators use to circle, not retreat. I could feel it every time my phone buzzed with a notification I didn't open, every time I checked my email for something I didn't trust, every time I walked through my apartment and double-checked the locks out of a habit I never used to have. 2 days passed with nothing. No angry messages from Mom, no guilt trips from Dad, no dramatic monologues from Kayla. Even the family group chat went dead, which was almost funny, considering how easily they'd lit it on fire the week before. For a moment, I thought maybe things were simply over. I should have known better. On the third morning, I woke up to a credit alert. New inquiry, Westfield Towers, LLC. Apartment credit check completed for Serena L. Carter. I sat up so fast my neck cracked. Westfield Towers wasn't the complex Kayla had tried to move into. I knew the name. Everyone in the city did. Luxury apartments, rooftop pool, in-unit washer and dryer, concierge service, one-bedroom units starting at $2,300 a month. There was no universe in which Kayla could afford that place. I called the leasing office. "Hi," I said, keeping my voice steady. "I received a fraud alert on my credit file. Could you confirm whether an apartment application was submitted under my name?" The woman on the phone was polite, efficient. "Yes, ma'am. We have a pending application for a 2-bedroom unit under the name. Let me check. Serena Lynn Carter." Cosigner matched to the same information. My heart thudded. "I didn't apply," I said. Silence. Then a softer voice. "Understood." She asked if I wanted the application canceled and marked as fraud. Yes, I did. She told me the leasing office would document everything for legal follow-up. I thanked her and hung up. Then I called the fraud department, placed another alert on my credit file, and filed a report. The moment I finished, my mother's number flashed across my phone screen. I didn't answer. Instead, I drove straight to my parents' house. No warning, no preamble. This time I didn't knock. Kayla was curled up on the living room couch with her laptop balanced on her knees. When she looked up and saw me, she froze like a raccoon caught in a spotlight. Mom emerged from the kitchen, immediately tense. Dad stood up from the dining table like he was bracing for impact. I went straight to the point. "I know about the Westfield application," I said. "I know my name was used. I know my credit was pulled, and I know it wasn't a mistake." Kayla's mouth opened, then closed. Mom stepped forward, hands up like she was calming a dangerous animal. "Sweetheart." "No," I said. "Tell me the truth." She swallowed. I helped her fill it out. The words hit me harder than any screaming could have. "You what?" "She needed help," Mom said defensively. "She can't get approved on her own. And with everything she's been through." "She spent $5,000 on my card in one night," I snapped. "That's what she's been through." Mom flinched, but kept going. "We thought if she had a nicer place, she'd take things more seriously. And the landlord said a cosigner would guarantee approval. We were going to make the payments ourselves until everything calmed down." Dad finally spoke, voice tired. "We didn't think you'd mind." "You didn't think?" I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because the disbelief needed somewhere to go. "You used my name, my credit, without asking, again." Mom's face pinched. "Serena, please, we were trying to help." "No," I said. "You were trying to hide what you did. That's the difference." Kayla started crying then. Big, gasping sobs she'd perfected over a lifetime of escaping consequences. I didn't move toward her, not this time. "I filed a fraud report," I said plainly. "If law enforcement follows up, I will not interfere. Whatever happens next is on you." Mom gasped. "You would turn on your own family?" "You already turned on me," I said. "I'm just stopping you from doing it again." Dad sank into his chair, face pale. Kayla choked out something between a plea and an insult, but I didn't wait to interpret it. I walked out. That night, Grandpa called. "You need to move your money," he said. "Change your passwords. Come stay here if you need space." I moved everything. New bank, new passwords, new locks, credit freeze. The next day, I left a letter in their mailbox. I outlined every incident, every theft, every lie, every misuse of my identity. I wrote that they were not to contact me unless it was to repay what was owed, admit what they'd done, and show proof of accountability. Then I left. 2 days later, a manila envelope appeared at my apartment door. Inside, a cashier's check for $4,900 and a note in Mom's handwriting. "We hope this fixes things. Please don't tell anyone else." Fixes things. Not apologizes, not acknowledges, not promises to stop. Fixes. It was a bribe, not repentance. I put the envelope in my desk drawer and didn't respond. The next morning, my cousin Shane texted me. "Yo, did your mom take out a loan in your name?" I froze. Me. What? Shane. Grandpa mentioned something he overheard, said she was talking about using Brandon's good credit before he notices. Thought it was about the card thing, but now I'm not sure. My stomach twisted. I logged into my credit report again. There it was. Personal loan application. 3 days earlier, Green Pine Credit Union. Applicant, Serena L. Carter. Denied only because of the fraud alert I'd placed. They tried again. My hands shook. I checked recent transactions on everything I'd ever owned. I dug through old accounts, old passwords, old statements, and I found more. A cell phone contract still active, a medical bill in collections, a dormant PayPal account with transactions I didn't recognize, a credit card I'd opened in college and never used, showing 3 charges in the last 6 months. Each one small, each one quiet, each one designed to slip under the radar. I called the credit card company about the furniture purchase. They pulled the logs. The manager's voice was tight. The item was picked up in person, signed for by someone identifying themselves as you. My breath caught. If you file a police report, we can release camera footage, she said. I didn't hesitate. I drove straight to the police station. I filed everything. Not just the debit card incident, not just the apartment, not just the loan attempts. Everything. The detective assigned to me listened carefully, then said, "If this involves forged documents, stolen identification, or repeated offenses, it won't stay civil. It becomes criminal." That night, Grandpa called again. He sounded older, tired. "I heard something," he said quietly. "Weeks before all this. Your mother was telling someone not to worry. He'll never press charges. He's not that kind of person." I closed my eyes. They didn't just assume my forgiveness. They depended on it. The next 48 hours felt like walking across a frozen lake, every step quiet, every breath sharp, every sound amplified in a way that made me wonder where the cracks would appear. I didn't hear from my parents. Not a text, not a missed call, not even one of Mom's overly dramatic paragraphs disguised as emotional pleas. Kayla, unsurprisingly, vanished off social media altogether. That was usually her version of damage control. Disappear until people forgot, then reemerge as if nothing had happened. But I couldn't forget. Not when the detective called again. "We've pulled the footage from the furniture store," she said. "The person who picked up the order used an ID that matches a copy of your old driver's license." My mouth went dry. "I lost that license years ago. The DMV said it would be destroyed." "It wasn't," the detective replied, "and someone's kept it all this time." Someone. Not strangers, not hackers. Someone. "Do you want us to proceed with charges?" she asked. I thought about every warning sign I'd ignored, every guilt trip disguised as love, every time I'd been told, "Don't make a scene," every lie, every stolen dollar, every misuse of my identity, every time my peace was traded for Kayla's convenience or Mom's comfort. "Yes," I said, "move forward." That same night, I got another call, this one from Uncle Jerry. He wasn't a dramatic man, not emotional, not easily shaken, but his voice held something I'd never heard from him before. "Hey, Serena," he said. "I've got something you should see." He came over 20 minutes later with an old file folder in his hands. The paper was yellowed, the edges curled. He set it on my kitchen table like it was something radioactive. "This was left at my house a few years ago," he said. "Your mom dropped off some paperwork and forgot this in the drawer. I didn't look through it until things with your sister blew up." I opened it. Inside was a loan application. 4 years old. $15,000 personal loan. Borrowers. Your mother and you. Except I had never signed it. I had never even known it existed. The signature next to mine wasn't identical, but it was close enough to pass if no one was looking closely. The loan had been paid off slowly over 3 years from an account I once used for automatic payments back in my early 20s. One I forgot to close when I switched banks. The statements had been going to my parents' house the entire time. I stared at the paper, my stomach twisting into a cold knot. "This isn't the only one, is it?" I asked quietly. Uncle Jerry's eyes softened. "I don't think so, and I don't think it's all on Kayla." My throat tightened. "You think Mom—" "I think you should let the detective do her job," he said gently. "Stop trying to protect people who don't protect you." He didn't stay long, just long enough to put a hand on my shoulder before he left. The next day, the detective called again. "We've officially tied multiple debt inquiries, applications, and accounts to the same address," she said. "Some in your sister's handwriting. Some, we aren't sure yet." I didn't need her to say it. My chest already knew. This wasn't a Kayla problem. This was a family operation. Identity theft disguised as love. Financial abuse wrapped in guilt. Years of silence, because they were certain I'd never fight back. For the first time, I felt something new rise in me. Not anger, not grief. Resolve. Over the following weeks, the investigation moved quietly. No dramatic arrests, no police cruisers pulling up to my parents' house with lights flashing. It was all paperwork, phone calls, interviews. Precise, methodical, quiet. The way a surgeon handles a tumor. I didn't participate beyond what was required. I gave them every statement they asked for, every screenshot, every receipt, every document Uncle Jerry found. Then I stepped back. I refused to check in for updates. I refused to let my mother turn this into another guilt-drenched phone call. I refused to let Kayla's crocodile tears make me doubt myself again. Meanwhile, I changed everything. New bank, new credit union, new passwords, new email, new door locks, new phone number. I even changed the routing numbers on autopay accounts I'd had for years. When friends asked why I was suddenly going incognito, I just said I was protecting my peace. And for the first time in months, maybe years, that actually felt true. 3 weeks later, the detective called again. "Charges have been filed," she said. "Quietly. You won't be contacted unless your testimony is needed. We'll keep you updated." I thanked her. And after we hung up, I sat in the quiet of my living room for a long time, just breathing. It didn't feel like victory. It didn't feel like revenge. It felt like finally putting a splint on a bone that had been broken for years. I didn't hear from my parents. Not even a denial. Not even one of Mom's emotional scripts. Maybe they were ashamed. Maybe they were scrambling. Maybe they were still trying to figure out how this happened to them, not because of them. My brother stayed silent too. Alex sent one half-hearted message. "This is getting dramatic." I blocked him. Jeremy didn't bother to reach out at all. Only Grandpa and Uncle Jerry stayed close. One morning, I found a letter in my mailbox. No return address, just my name. The handwriting was unmistakable, Kayla's. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Not an apology, not an explanation. Just a few lines. "I know you hate me, but you're not the only one who's been used." No context, no names, just that. I folded the paper and set it aside, unsure whether it was a confession or a warning. I thought that was the end. Until the next day, Uncle Jerry stopped by again, phone in hand. "You need to see this," he said, turning the screen toward me. It was a screenshot from one of Kayla's locked profiles, not posted publicly. Probably something meant for a private group. In the background of her selfie was a whiteboard. At first, it looked like random scribbles. But then I recognized the format. Names, birth dates, partial social security numbers, credit scores. Mine was at the top. Next to it, 2 words circled in red. "Too clean." And below it, 5 more names. Kayla hadn't just been using me. She'd been doing this to other people. Not impulsively. Not because she was young. But systematically. Deliberately. And now, it wasn't just a family issue. It was part of a criminal investigation. I sat back in my chair, the room spinning slightly as everything clicked into horrifying clarity. This wasn't about one night, or one stolen card, or one apartment. This was a pattern. A crime ring that started inside my own home. And I was just the first one who said no. I looked at Uncle Jerry. "What do I do now?" I whispered. He exhaled slowly. "You live your life," he said, "and let the consequences fall where they're supposed to." For the first time in my life, I believed him.